Hey guys, it's Brian here, and welcome back to another review for the Horror Man Slashback Challenge. And the theme that Joe the Horror Man has set for this week is titled Leftover Slashers. And by that, he means we can review any film as long as, well, any slasher film, as long as it was from a previous theme for this year. And I decided to go with another attraction slasher, and I decided to go obviously with the 2005 House of Wax. Now, this is kind of an interesting film. The reason why I chose this one is because, on the one hand, it's kind of a remake to like two movies. We have the 1953 Vincent Price movie, which itself was a remake of a 1930s movie, and also Tourist Trap from 1979. And that's the main reason why I chose in this movie. This one centers around a group of teens that are heading to this football game, but they end up getting stranded and having car trouble, so they end up close to this abandoned town that has this really cool wax museum, which is actually made out of wax. So one of the cars is broken down, so half the group try to go to the football game, while the other half try to get their car fixed, and they go into this town, and then they find out that there's something seriously wrong with this town, and there's a serial killer running around that's pretty much encasing people in wax. And that's pretty much the plot for this one. This film was produced by Dark Castle Entertainment, which was made up of many filmmakers, including Joel Silver and Robert Zemeckis. Now, they earlier on in the 90s produced two Tales from the Crypt movies, Bordello Blood and Demon Night. There was a third film that ended up not getting released, but ended up going direct to video many years later. But in the meantime, they created this company called Dark Castle, and every year for 10 years they released one horror movie a year. The first couple were all remakes. There was what was it? House of Haunted Hill, 13 Ghosts, and then this was like the third remake, House of Wax. Now there is a connection to the Vincent Price movie because one of the characters that's doing running the wax museum is named Vincent, and he's the one that's actually the artist creating these wax figures, um, which I thought was kind of interesting. I didn't really catch that at first, but there's that. The cast of this movie is made up of a lot of people that were hot around that time. It's funny because the first four Dark Castle movies all featured one Oscar winner in the film. Like Jeffrey Rush was in the first one, and then there was one in every other movie right up until this one, which they didn't really have one. I guess the biggest draw at the time for this one starred Paris Hilton at the height of her fame, as well as Liza Cuthbert, who was famous for 24, and Chad Michael Murray, who was most famous for being in One Tree Hill. I looked him up on IMDb, and I guess he's been stuck making those Hallmark Christmas movies now. I think the last one he did was called Right Christmas. I really can't watch those movies because they kind of make me sick. Those Christmas rom-coms. The cast in this one is pretty good. Like Paris Hilton is okay in this one. She gets the best death scene. If you've seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about. This one also stars a pre-supernatural Jared Padalecki, who plays one of the character's boyfriends. He was pretty good in this one as well. It was kind of fun watching him in this. It kind of reminded me of like watching a Supernatural episode, the way he was acting in this movie. This film was actually a lot better than I thought that I remembered. Anyways, I haven't watched this one since it originally hit DVD back in the mid 2000s. So I'm kind of glad I rewatched this one because I wasn't sure I wanted to watch it again. This one does have decent kills. I like the look of the killer. He has like kind of a wax mask because his face is deformed, which is kind of cool. The town is cool, and there's a great set piece with the House of Wax at the end. I don't want to spoil it for you if you haven't seen this one. This one is worth checking out. It's a lot gorier than the films of its time. I remember being like the first half of the 2000s was a really depressing time for a horror fan because there was way too many PG-13 horror movies. Not that I have anything wrong with them. It's just that they were doing PG-13 slasher films that had like almost no gore. And in the case of films like Cry Wolf, like no kills. Sorry to spoil that one, but if you haven't seen it, don't bother with that one. So it was kind of nice to actually see a decent slasher movie. It's not overly bloody, but for the time, it was bloody enough. I do recommend this one if you haven't seen it. All right, guys, that's pretty much my review. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll talk to you all later.